Hi, chat. I'm sad. This little bitch here named Atlas decided to leave for a week around Valentine's Day, and now I have no one. So I'm forcing you guys to go on a date with me instead. Anyway. Atlas sounds based. Fuck you, Token. Fuck you. Skill issue? Hey, Atlas, you can't just show up in chat. This chat isn't for you, okay? You decided to bail on me. Get out. I'm kidding, you can stay. Can't believe Atlas stood you up, SMH. Yeah, right. Can't believe that Atlas got an offer from their family. Hey, wanna come with us on a, like, week-long vacation, all expenses paid. Like, yeah, I can't believe Atlas took them up on that offer. That's fucking crazy, right? What you gonna do, ban me? That is actually such a good idea. Hold up, give me a second. Can I put a moderator in timeout? Oh, I can. Oh. Okay, this is, you know what? I won't yet. I won't yet. But you better watch your fucking language. Today is gonna be super chill, and it's gonna be super calm. Cause I'll be honest, I've been pulling some hours lately. It removes the mod status if you do that. It does on Twitch. Does it on YouTube is the question. I have been putting in a lot of hours in. I've been putting in a lot of hours lately, chat. I don't exactly keep track of how much time I spend working. I probably should, to be fair. Like, it's probably a bad idea that I don't. I probably very much should, but I don't. But I reckon this week, probably like about 12 hours a day at the moment, which is fine. But it does mean I'm a little tired. I'll be honest, the reason why the stream is delayed and why I was 15 minutes late, or I announced that I was gonna be late, but the reason why is because I took a nap, and then I woke up like 20 minutes before stream was supposed to start, and I hadn't eaten anything yet, and I was like, fuck, yeah, I should probably get some food in my mouth before before I start the stream. It's because a whole lot of extra you know what, we should probably start first before I go ramble. What do we do, chat? Do we do the golf cart, the detached house, or the bungalow? The detached house is the biggest one, but I don't know if we can finish that in one go. Like these ones take a while. I don't know. I played this with Atlas. No. Actually, never mind. Detached house, like how you are detached from Atlas. That's such a good point, actually. That is such a good point. Yeah, so, the reason why I've been putting in so many hours this week specifically, is because, in the weekend, I'm visiting family, which basically means that all the stuff that I need to do in a week now, I now need to do in 4 days. Like, make it, I've already made the schedule for next week. I still need to do thumbnails. I need to do that tomorrow. That's a little loud on Power Wash. Also on the quality can go to medium, you know? Yeah, that's better. Oh, game's lagging a little bit. That's fine. But yeah, so first of all that, I've had to do a whole bunch of extra work in 4 days instead of 7. But second of all, another project came up for me that was like very last minute that I really, really wanted to work on. I can't talk much about it other than the fact that it is now finished. And I'm really excited about it. But yeah, that had to happen like this week, so also before the Thursday. And now there is something else that the moment that this stream is over, there's something else that I still need to work on. Basically before the end of today. So that's fun. It is legitimately really fun. Don't get me wrong. I am legitimately having a good time with it. I'm not overworking myself. Oh, is that Route 101? Fuck yeah. Sorry, I've decided that the vibe for today's stream was not gonna be my usual background music, because that one's kind of energetic. So I decided that we should just go for standard, like, Pokemon lo-fi. Can't ever go wrong with Pokemon lo-fi, let's face it. How have you all been doing today, anyway, chat? Have you had any plans for Valentine's Day, this year? Because Atlas and I didn't have any plans, obviously, because I knew that Atlas was going to be gone for today, like, quite a while ago. Like, this was planned in quite a little bit. Streaming with wife Sunday? Oh, hell yeah. Ooh, I might have to check that out, Token. I'm not streaming on Sunday, so depending on what time that is, I might be able to check that out. What are you gonna be streaming, Token? 1 p.m. Eastern, so like now? Got it. I might be able to make that. Depends on how quick I get back from my family. I also do have something for Sunday. It's the thing that I can't talk about. I need to shut up about that now before I do accidentally say something. Hello, mind if I lurk? Yeah, of course. Please, by all means, it helps me out a lot. Shout out to all the lurkers. Think we should go for the green one here, just to get over it a little bit faster. Yeah, no, we do definitely need to slow down a little bit. Might even need to go for yellow. Look lower to the ground. Yeah, that's more like it. Streaming Moemon, oh no. 1 episode a year for 2 years, episode 3 out Sunday. God, fucking Moemon. Oh my god, I remember that. How is this game so strangely captivating? I don't know, but I'm such a big fan of it. I got given this by a friend of mine for Christmas. Atlas and I have played it together a couple times, not too much. But it is so strangely relaxing, and it's like the perfect game for your hands to do something while you can just talk about stuff. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think I will ever do a traditional Zatsu stream. For the people that don't know what a Zatsu is, Zatsu, in Japanese, the full word is Zatsudan, and it basically just means let's chat. It is a VTuber just chatting stream. No game, no other content, just chatting about something, right? And I don't think I will ever do a traditional Zatsu stream, because I'm always gonna have a game like this on in the background for my hands to keep themselves busy. And so that there's like, I always worry a lot about, how entertaining I am in a moment-to-moment basis. I know that I can be very entertaining, right? It's not that I'm anxious about, oh, people don't like me. No, I know pretty damn well that people like me. I have that confidence at this point. Took a couple years, but we're there now. But I do sometimes worry about, like, moment to moment, especially on streams, like, how quickly someone would possibly click off the stream if, like, 30 seconds are not interesting. Because sometimes I struggle with figuring out what to talk about, and I just fall silent, especially if chat's a little quieter that day. Luckily, ever since becoming a full-time VTuber, my chat's not really been quiet. So that does help that problem. There's kind of always been people around these last 3 weeks, which, by the way, thank you. It does genuinely really mean a lot. That, like, I already feel like I'm seeing more success, even though, like, not much has really changed other than the fact that I stream on YouTube now and that I have a VTuber model. Girl, I've fallen asleep on stream before. Some days are just like that. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you know, sometimes I worry about not being entertaining enough if it's just me talking. So I think if I ever do Zatsu streams, this is basically a Zatsu stream, but, you know, there's just power washing going on in the background. The balloon stream from 2 weeks ago is very similar. I was playing balloons, but, like, let's face it, I wasn't focusing on the game. We were just, God, what were we fucking talking about again, chat? I don't even remember what we were talking about during the balloon stream. But it's stuff like that. That's the kind of Zatsu streams that I want to do, right? Is just have an autism game like this on in the background that you don't really need to pay attention to. You need to corner the market on background noise, yeah. I bought this game on PS5 a while ago, definitely want to play it again soon, but I want to wait until the Warhammer 40k DLC. There's a Warhammer DLC for Power Wash Simulator coming? Actually, wait, that strangely makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, no, never mind. Strangely, that actually makes a ton of sense. Oop. I didn't expect this track to be turned into lo-fi, I'll be honest. This is kind of a creepy one. I might take that out the playlist when it comes around next time. What the fuck is this one again? Why can I not remember the name? Yeah, it's the fucking Route 209 tower in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Or it's Mount Moon. Never mind, it's fucking Mount Moon, I'm stupid. It said Route 209 still, but I'm like, no, it's not. It's fucking Mount Moon. Anyway. Like, Mount Moon doesn't really make for relaxing lo-fi. This more feels like lo-fi hip-hop beats to run away from someone who's hunting you to. Hey, that's better. But yeah, I wanna do like one of these autism game like Zatsus like every other week or so, probably. Lo-fi beats that play when you get haunted, yeah, exactly. Cause I just think it's chill, you know? Cause I do wanna try and stick to streaming like 4 days a week. I know I've been streaming a lot more, in, you know, the first 3 weeks since debut, except for this week. This week we've only done 4, but that's just because I'm not here for the weekend. Sorry, I'm seeing some spots that I missed. But I do want to try and stick to like doing 4 streams a week, but being completely by yourself, in terms of, you know, like I'm not really receiving any outside help outside of the occasional help from my partner. Like, Atlas made the thumbnail for this stream, for example. That saved me like 30 minutes of work. So like, I do get some help, but outside of that, like, I'm completely on my own. And it is really, really hard to fill a entire week with unique stream ideas without like repeating yourself. The only way I was able to do like 5 streams a week in the first 2 weeks was because we had 2 series going on, right? We had both Undertale Yellow and the Nuzlocke. That's the only reason I was able to do as many streams as I did. Because then you don't really have to think about what you're gonna do. You're just gonna have like those streams are kind of just locked in. Just ask and I can hang out for a stream. I may have some ideas, Token. I might reach out to you somewhere next week for something. I might have, oh. That's unsatisfying. I was almost there. I feel robbed. I almost finished that so neatly. What the fuck, man? All right, well, we'll do it again. Okay, that's a little unfortunate. I have to do it like this because I can't stand on the side of the bush. Yeah, that felt so wrong, dude. What the fuck? The auto finish is so. Can you turn auto finish off? No, actually, no. You don't want to turn auto finish off, because that auto finish saves you in like 90% of cases. But my god, yeah, that was a little unsatisfying. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, right. Filling an entire week with streams is already pretty difficult. But then I have a whole bunch of stuff running on the side as well, right? I want to have a video out every 2 weeks, like a piece of music, and that is a lot of work. There's a lot more that goes into that than just the music. You have to make the music first, that's one thing. Then you have album art for it. I currently just have a standard album art format until I can figure out something a little bit better. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I have to submit it to Spotify, which is quite a bit of effort, actually. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do to get a piece of music that you made submitted to Spotify. So I have to do that. I have to set up downloads, both MP3 and lossless, and give them to members. I have to make the video for it. Properly like tag all of the audio files so that it's so that it is right for people who download it, so that they have all the information on it. Like, after a piece of music is finished, there is still like 2 days of work that I have to do before I can release it. And then outside of doing that, like, I also have some other projects running on the side. Some people may know that back around Christmas, I did a whole bunch of mixing for some other VTubers. I did a whole bunch of voice packs for people. And I am also in the background still open for commissions like that. So whenever one of those comes around, that's also like extra time that I need to put into it. And that is stuff that I do want to put time into, because that's stuff that I have a guaranteed paycheck for at the end of it, right? But also, I don't want that to eat into my regular streaming and video schedule, because as much as I like doing that paid work for other people, I also want to like build my own stuff a little bit more. Which is, you know, why I started this whole VTubing thing. So that comes with it on the side, not even factoring in the panic and self-dread. Yeah, exactly, Token, you get it. But it has been legitimately really fun. Oops, I let my hand go off my mouse for a second. Like, I don't think I've had this much fun making stuff in a very, very, very long time, you know? And that says something, because apart from a few moments, I was having fun. Like, even before this, I was having fun when I was, like, streaming or when I was doing things. It's just that there was, like, a big lack of structure to it. And I guess if there's one thing that, you know, me, a neurodivergent person, hates, it's lack of structure. You know what, let's quickly just clean this up, right? Might as well. And now I have, like, a lot more structure to everything. because, you know, I'm doing a schedule every week and I'm actually like sticking to it, which I'll be honest, I was skeptical. Before I started, I was skeptical that I was gonna be able to stick to a schedule. Oh, go fuck off. I was almost there, man. Ooh, Azalea Town? Yeah, I was skeptical that I was gonna be able to stick to a schedule. But I mean, hey, look at me now. There's only been one stream that I had to cancel because I was really, really tired. And that was in a week where I had done 5 other streams. So like, I'm not exactly gonna blame myself for that one either. And there's been one stream where I've been late by like 15 minutes. And that's it. I haven't missed anything else, in like 3 weeks. And I'm proud of myself for that one, because honestly, sticking to a schedule was the thing I was least confident in that I would be able to do. I was confident that I'd be able to, you know, have fun streams, come up with fun ideas. I was confident that I was going to be, that the content side was gonna go fine, basically. But I was really scared of having a burnout like 2 weeks in, and that's not happened yet. And it doesn't feel like it will anytime soon either. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm on the verge of it at all. I definitely need to take a little bit of a break, which is why, like, I'm not streaming for the weekend. And next week, I've planned in 4 streams, one of which is a member stream. I can't tell you that. So it's less than what I did in previous weeks. I'm slowly gonna be toning that down. I still wanna try my best to do 4 streams a week at least. And sometimes if I do a member stream in a week, it means that the other people will only get 3. But sometimes maybe I'll do a 5th stream so that all non-members still have 4 streams for their week as well. At the end of the day, I want to prioritize my own health, and currently, I think that's going well. I do think that's going well. And then, like, I have been thinking about, like, what do I want to do in a couple weeks from now? Because here's the thing, right? I had a bunch of stuff planned already. Like, the Pokemon Nuzlocke that I've been doing was planned. Undertale Yellow was planned. Doing Power Wash Sim was planned for a while. So like I had a lot of stuff already like written down, a whole bunch of stream ideas already written down beforehand. Hi, Alden. And like I'm slowly running out of those ones that I have pre-written. So now I guess I finally get to put my idea generation to test. I've come up with a very funny stream idea for next week. I can tell you guys, it doesn't fucking matter. So, next Monday, I've been seeing a lot of people, play this game called Infinite Craft. And if you're my age or slightly older, you will probably have played this game, this Flash game back in the day called Little Alchemist, which is you start with water, fire, wind, and earth, and you combine them together, and you make various things, right? Infinite Craft is essentially that, but on crack, because they've put an AI in charge of figuring out what, figuring out new combinations so that there's essentially an infinite amount of them. And the funny thing is, people have managed to create the word Pokemon in it. And I was thinking, if you can create the word Pokemon, and from there, you can actually combine things together to create actual Pokemon. And I was thinking, how funny would it be if we try to see if we can speed run an entire Pokedex? If we can, or at least like how many possible Pokemon we can find in like 3 hours time. So we're doing that on Monday. Mainly it was inspired by, I was watching a video from Small Ant earlier, yesterday. I think it was yesterday or today, I don't quite remember. The time has blended in together. Where they try to speedrun a girlfriend. In, they try to speedrun a girlfriend in Infinite Craft. I think it took them like 3 hours for one of them to find it. Which I think is funny. And then at one point during that stream, they came across, like, one of them crafted Pokemon and then accidentally crafted Charizard. And I was like, wait a fucking minute, I can do something with that. And then that stream idea was born. So we're doing that on Monday. Not saying what other streams are doing yet for the rest of next week. It also depends. I have 2 separate things ready for next week for the Thursday. Because Thursday is Nuzlocke Day at the moment, right? But, like, I don't know if we are close to finishing the Nuzlocke that we are currently doing. I don't know how close we are. Like, I think if we don't wipe, we might actually be able to finish it, this stream. Like, this Thursday. So I've had to, like, have 2 separate things planned for next week, on the Thursday, in the event of me finishing the Nuzlocke this week, right? Because I do want to have a stream on Thursday. Thursday is going to be my like, series day, if that makes sense. I want to basically at all times, have, like, 1 series on the schedule for the week. I've had 2 for the past few weeks now because Undertale Yellow was something I really wanted to play, but I also really wanted to start with the Nuzlocke. But going forward, I basically only ever want to have one on the schedule. So I need to figure out what that series is going to be after this Nuzlocke is finished, because I don't immediately want to start another Nuzlocke. I will. Do you know any good Pokemon ROM hacks for the Game Boy? Oh yeah, plenty. Light Platinum is really good. Fully original region. I should really play Light Platinum on stream. It's been ages since I've played that game. I'm basically blind on it again. Hey, it's okay, Alden. No need to apologize. Just don't do stuff like that again. Straight Game Boy or GBA? I'm assuming Sarah means GBA, because there are also Game Boy hacks. Those do exist. I do want to get into Nuzlocking of ROM hacks more. Like, I've been really enjoying the Too Many Types one. But the thing is, Pokemon ROM hacks tend to get really fucking difficult. Like, the ones that everyone probably thinks of, the most popular ROM hacks, are Drayano's hacks. Drayano being the person who made, Renegade Platinum, Blaze Black, Volt White, I think it was something Gold and Storm Silver. I forgot what the Gold one was, which are basically like upgraded versions of Pokemon games. And by upgraded, that's like upgraded in every sense of the word, including difficulty. Like, the Drayano hacks are not easy. Radical Red is good fun if you like a challenge. Yeah, Radical Red. That's another one of those, like, ROM hacks that's really, really good, but also definitely really, really hard. Isn't Radical Red the one that, like, they keep updating? And, like, the team lineups and everything of gym leaders keep changing. Isn't that Radical Red, right? They keep updating that. Never had one, so confused with the names. I only ever played on an emulator. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, most people play ROM hacks on an emulator and not on original hardware, especially GBA. Like, you can, it's pretty easy to play DS ROM hacks on original hardware. For a GBA, it's a little bit harder. To be fair, I guess you can play GBA ROM hacks on a DS. That, on a DS Lite. I completely forgot that that's a thing that you could do. Because the DS just has a Game Boy inside of it. God, this lo-fi playlist was a good selection. My God, this is really cozy. But yeah, I really want to get into nuzlocking some of the like harder Pokemon ROM hacks, but I'll be honest, as much of a nerd as I am, I actually still have a lot to learn when it comes to nuzlocks. Like, you know, end goal for me of a game that I really want to nuzlock, like end goal, it's probably Emerald Kaizo. Like, that is the, like, I guess it's the, like, rite of passage for a nuzlocker, right? Is Emerald Kaizo. You're out of your mind? Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. But the thing about Emerald Kaizo is, while it is one of the, like, hardest Pokemon games ever made, it's also the one that has, like, the most amount of research and, like, community resources on it. Like, it's not that Emerald Kaizo has been, like, solved. Like, it's not like whenever you, like, no matter what your encounter pool is, there's always a guaranteed 100% chance that you can beat the game with it. No, like, there is some luck involved, obviously. But I mean, at this point, I feel like even though Emerald Kaizo is no longer the hardest Pokemon game ever made, people have made harder, like Pokemon Run and Bun, which came out a couple months ago. I think it's like a year old at this point already, probably older even. That one, as far as I'm aware, is rated harder than Emerald Kaizo at this point in time. Then there's also Garbage Green, which is the hack that Pokemon Challenges commissioned from a couple of modders, which is just Pokemon Leaf Green, except it's fucked. Like, it's actually awful. They've nerfed basically every single Pokemon that you can use. Final evolutions are not available to you. Kaizo Blue is harder, but Game Boy only, so no one talks about it. Yeah, that's fair enough. There's also a crystal hack that I forgot the name of that is brutal. I think it's just Crystal Kaizo, actually. Yeah, no, I think that is straight up just Crystal Kaizo. But yeah, Garbage Green is basically, they take away all of the, like, top evolutions so that you're stuck with pretty shit stats. Your encounter pool is awful, and whenever you go into a route, you Nuzlocke Crystal Clear last year was very fun because it was built into the hack. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, they have Nuzlocks built into the main game? Oh, that's nice. I should add that to my list then. Oh, this gate's just open. I was trying to fucking jump it. All right, we're gonna have to grab our ladder soon. If we want to go further up here. Let's just do the bottom half for now. I don't even think that we'll be finishing this today, chat, because I have other stuff to get to. I have about 2 hours and 10 minutes until I should probably get off and continue doing some other work. Because there's some other stuff that I need to finish before the end of today. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, I should be able to share that Sunday or Monday, from what I'm aware of, but I could be wrong on that. So while I will not be uploading a cover this week on this channel, there may be something else, somewhere else. God, I'm so fucking cryptic. Y'all are probably annoyed by that. I should stop that. Because I quite literally can't say anything about it. NDAs and that are kind of a bitch. I'm allowed to say I'm working on something, but like, that's kind of it. Pokemon Chaos Black for the Game Boy? I don't think I've heard of that one. You know what, let's just quickly do a line over the bottom. because that's hard to see through the grass. There we go. Crystal Clear is insane. It can be used to transfer Pokemon into Stadium 2. That's how advanced it is. I guess that's the joys of Game Boy games, right? Is they are so small and they've been out for so long, they've essentially been entirely figured out. Like the GBA games are reaching that stage now. Of just being able to do an absurd amount of stuff with it. The DS games are getting there, but they're still a ways off. I'm personally the biggest fan of DS hacking. That's the one that I've been trying to teach myself. I'm currently trying to work on an edit of Pokemon Platinum that I could use in Nuzlocke with other people at some point in the future. Good for you, Ara Smith. I don't care. I'm power washing. Don't fucking disturb me, all right? True, but yeah, Crystal Clear is level scaling and open world. I spun a wheel to decide what gym to try next. Was a blast. Never forget Heracross. Oh god. I think my favorite Nuzlocke that I've ever done has definitely so far been Pokemon Black 2 Challenge Mode, the hardcore Nuzlocke that I did last year. It was, up until this point, that is the hardest Nuzlocke that I've done. And you may think, well, just a vanilla game, that sounds like pretty easy, but no, like, don't get me wrong, fucking Pokemon Black 2 Challenge Mode is rough. It genuinely is fucking rough. And I was doing it hardcore as well, right? So, set mode, no items in battle, no overleveling, all that. So, that was a really fun Nuzlocke to do. Black 2 will probably always be my favorite, like, vanilla Nuzlocke. Just because of the existence of challenge mode. I wish Game Freak had the balls to implement challenge mode into later Pokemon games. Hardcore has become the standard. Yeah, it really has over the last few years, huh? To be fair, if I start Nuzlocking, like, much harder ROM hacks, I may change the hardcore rules slightly. For example, I might still play on Switch mode, but I'll allow healing items in battle. I will never allow X items. X items, I will always ban X items in battle, no matter what Pokemon game I'm playing, because those are by far the most busted items in the series, especially in Gen 6 and onward. But, like, for some of the harder Pokemon games, I may just allow healing items, just to make it a tiny bit easier, or like, allow overleveling by like 2 levels, maybe, right? So that you just have a tiny bit more and can kind of get the hang of things, and then slowly work towards becoming a better player and all that, right? What makes them busted Gen 6 onward? Pre-Gen 6, X items only gave a +1 stat boost. In Gen 6 onward, X items started giving +2. So they're even more insane in Gen 6. Like, get them giving +1 stat boosts up until Gen 5 was already really good. But starting in Gen 6, it became +2. I don't know why they did that. It's actually insane. Like, you can pop 1 X attack and it'll double your damage for the rest of the fight, right? Which is a little silly, in my opinion. Which is why, like, I will never use X items. Unless it is a Pokemon game that is designed in such a bullshit way that you kind of have to, right? But that's the limit there. I'll only do it if, like, you genuinely have to in order to beat it. And who knows, maybe one of those games exists, I'm sure it does. I know that there are some ROM hacks that do distribute X items, but they're very, very scarce. You can barely find any of them, meaning that they actually say that it's okay to use X items in your Nuzlocke in those games just because there's so few of them and you have to pick really strategically where you want to use them. Like, then it's a lot more interesting, right? Because then it suddenly becomes a lot more than just, oh, X items beat the game. You can just go to the department store and win, right? Then it becomes, oh shit, I only have like 3 X items. The music, hello. I knew Gen 4 music would fucking attract you, Flanny. Welcome in. Yeah, I wanted some chill music today because my usual like stream music is pretty like hype and upbeat. So I was like, oh, I'll look up Pokemon Lo-Fi, and then there was a Gen 3 and Gen 4 playlist. I was like, yep, okay, that's the one. The satisfying clean game, yeah, exactly. I'm basically treating this as a just chatting stream with power washing in the background. I don't think I've actually, like, focused on the game in the last 20 minutes. I've just been on autopilot, I'll be real. But yeah, there's some Pokemon ROM hacks like that are really, really interesting with their item distribution. For example, I know Emerald Kaizo is very interesting in that regard, because the White Herb, for example, really, really powerful item in Nuzlocke, because it can nullify a stat change. Whenever a Pokemon with the White Herb has their stats lowered, the White Herb is consumed and the stat change is reverted. Meaning that if you put it on a Pokemon and you know that they're about to go into a fight where the opposing Pokemon is about to intimidate you, or maybe it's like an evolution, they're about to use Charm to lower your attack, right? Charm being a priority move that lowers your attack by 1 stage. Being able to cancel that out, or like that's on the defensive side, but there's also on the other side of the spectrum, there's moves like Overheat that lower your special attack by 2 stages. You know, you put a White Herb on your Pokemon and suddenly you can use an Overheat without any repercussions, because that stat change just gets nullified. I think Emerald Kaizo has 1 White Herb in the entire game, and there is a massive discourse in the Emerald Kaizo community around what the best place to use the White Herb is. A lot of people go for one of the Elite Four fights where one of the opposing Pokemon has Intimidate. That's one of the best places to use it, and I think one of the other places that people use it is... God, I believe it's Norman? I'm not sure. I'll need to watch Pokemon Challenge's video on that again, because he covered the White Herb in his video. Hello, Chelsea. Welcome in. We are talking about random Pokemon ROM hacks that I want to Nuzlocke at some point, and I'm a psychopath because I really want to do Emerald Kaizo. My take, use it wherever the frick you like. Yeah, but also use it in a place where it'll actually win you a fight. Because Emerald Kaizo is hard as fuck. Though Deathless Emerald Kaizo has recently been completed. And it's, like, genuinely pretty insane. People have done Emerald Kaizo without a single Pokemon dying. I think it took the person who did it, like, you know, hundreds of attempts. I think it took like 2 years for someone to do it. I don't know. I may be spreading mad misinformation here. Optimization brain versus we'll see brain. Yeah, but that's the thing about Emerald Kaizo. You kind of can't we'll see, because that game is fucked. God, I love Route 209. Legitimately, this is probably one of my favorite Pokemon themes of all time. Not close. Renegade Platinum's not that bad. Renegade Platinum is hard, sure, but it's not Emerald Kaizo. Renegade Platinum is a very Nuzlocke-friendly game. It's kind of made for it. Renegade Platinum's kind of made to be Nuzlocked. It's like all the Drayano hacks are kind of made to be Nuzlocked, right? You have Renegade Platinum, you have Sacred Gold, Storm Silver, Vintage White, Blaze Black, and the sequels, Vintage White 2, Blaze Black 2. Oh no, not Vintage White, Volt White and Blaze Black. Vintage White is a different Pokemon ROM hack, also pretty hard. You started playing Vanilla Platinum again this week and just playing Silly Mode as if I'm 10 again. Let me guess, Silly Mode being... is this the... Do you mean by Silly Mode that you're using everyone's Gen 4 team or using the most silly Pokemon possible? Because everyone's Gen 4 team was like Floatzel, your starter, Lucario, Luxray, Garchomp. That was kind of the default Gen 4 team, right? That everyone ran with. You know what? Maybe I should Nuzlocke Brilliant Diamond. The only reason why I really don't want to Nuzlocke Switch games is just because you can't be candy pilled. I'm a candy pilled person. I think cheating is based and grinding is cringe, right? Using a goddamn Banary? Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I think cheating is based and grinding is cringe. Now, the nice thing about modern Pokemon games is that, you know, they all have Force EXP share, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because it means you don't have to grind as much, but also you don't have much control over the levels of your Pokemon. I'm personally against it, but I mean, hey, that ship sailed in Gen 6, right? That ship sailed in Gen 7. Like, we're done with that discourse. They're never changing that. But I like to be candy pilled. I like to have infinite rare candy so I can just level my Pokemon up to the next level cap, whenever I want to. And I'm less of a fan of having to do, actual grinding. And if I were to Nuzlocke a game like BDSP, obviously I would have to do actual grinding, or any Switch Pokemon game for that matter. I'm for making it toggleable. Oh yeah, toggleable's always been fine. I mean, that's kind of what the XP share used to be, right? You give it as a held item to your Pokemon, and then they get the extra XP. I think the held item is what should have stayed. I think the XP all is too powerful. I think genuinely the regular EXP share has been the best implementation of it. And I don't mind if you can, like, buy an EXP share, because most Pokemon games only have one available, right? I don't mind if they were to let you buy an EXP share, like once you're past Gym 3, for example. So that you can buy as many as you want, like buy 5 of them, grind up your team. But not that there is just straight up an item that is given to you for free that allows you to have the EXP share on all of your Pokemon. I'm not a fan of that one. Damn, is there like some stuff behind there? Or is this part of the... Oh, that's part of the same gutter, okay. I was gonna say, like, holy shit, what do you mean? I'm missing so much on that. I was like moss and everything on that. Honestly, my ideal Pokemon game would just have challenge mode. Like, Pokemon Black and White's challenge mode. The key system in Pokemon Black and White was dog shit, right? You had to have someone else with the other game, and then you had to share your keys. Like, you couldn't activate challenge mode in Pokemon Black and White on your own. What does standing up mean? My boyfriend stood me up, by which I mean they are not here to have a Valentine's date with me because they were asked by their family if they wanted to take a week vacation where they paid all the expenses, and obviously they said yes. Yeah, or have 2 DSs with 2 separate copies, yeah. You couldn't get access to challenge mode, or easy mode for that matter, with a single game cartridge and a single console. You needed 2 consoles for it. Which is fucking stupid. It was a horrible implementation of the system, but challenge mode itself like, the way that it was balanced is probably, I think, the best balancing that a Pokemon game has ever had. Though, close second is a segment of another game. I think the BDSP Elite Four is one of the best crafted Elite Fours of all time. Because they took the teams that the Elite Four had originally in Diamond Pearl, and I don't think they took the Platinum Pokemon. I think it was just Diamond and Pearl that they took. But the BDSP Elite Four was done so fucking well. Because they kept the same team composition, but they gave every Pokemon like 1 or 2 coverage moves to cover against super effective types. They gave them super competitive items to hell, the fucking Drifblim that one of them uses is basically a fucking stall Pokemon. Like, they're using a lot more like strategies that you would see in a hardcore Nuzlocke, just directly in the Elite Four, and I think that was great. My only issue is that BDSP, up until that point, is one of the easiest Pokemon games of all time due to the friendship mechanic, or affection mechanic, I should say. If a Pokemon has a decent amount of friendship or affection, like their crit rate goes up from like 1 in 20 to 1 in from 1 in 20 to like 1 in 8, which is insane. And like you have a higher chance to dodge moves, you can shake off status effects, you have a chance to survive at 1 HP. And I'm just like, you know, that's cool and all, but I really don't want that mechanic to be in my Pokemon game. Because it makes it significantly easier. The 1 HP thing is so broken. Yeah, absolutely. Which, like, it makes that Elite Four a lot easier. Like, by quite a bit. I'm wondering, oh, that's where I'm still missing stuff. All right. I was like, why is this gutter still not finished? But it's the inside of the gutter. There we go. So while BDSP's Elite Four is legitimately, I think, one of the best balanced Elite Fours of all time, it does suffer from the game mechanics. If that was the Elite Four in, like, the original Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, oh my god, dude, that would have been... Like, people were already scared of Cynthia back then, but let's face it, Cynthia isn't that hard of a champion. Especially if you know. If you didn't know what Cynthia's team was, I can understand that Cynthia's team is pretty hard. Not, if you've never seen Spiritomb before, if it was your first time playing Gen 4, and then having Spiritomb tossed at you, you have no idea what the typing is, and you're not gonna really figure that out, because Spiritomb has no weaknesses in that generation. Which already kind of sad about, you know, Spiritomb still being on the team in BDSP, because in BDSP, obviously, Spiritomb has a weakness, and it's Fairy, because that type suddenly exists now. But, like, if you know what Cynthia's team is, it is not a difficult fight by any means. I wouldn't say she's one of the easier champions, definitely not. Who is the easiest champion, actually? Come to think of it. Who is the easiest champion that we've had? I think Diantha was pretty easy in X and Y. The Sun and Moon champion wasn't that hard either. Your, the professor or your rival, the title defense. Both Steven and Wallace, I think, were fine. Wallace just had the big issue of being a water-focused trainer. Oh, yeah, no, like, Cynthia did a lot of conditioning. Like, that's what I'm saying. Cynthia, when you were a kid, and you had never seen some of those Pokemon before, and it was your first time playing, Cynthia was absolutely, like, one of the harder champion fights to go into blind. But if you know what Cynthia's team is, I think it is one of the easier champion fights. Because Spiritomb is fucking stupid. Like, Spiritomb and BDSP, bring a Pokemon that is weak to Dark-type moves. And you win. Because Spiritomb will spam Sucker Punch 5 turns in a row. And if you just use setup moves for those 5 turns, like use your 3 Swords Dances, and like maybe a double team or something like that, and you just win the fight because you've set up. Or like, you know, use 5 Dragon Dances. If you can bait the Spiritomb into using Sucker Punch 5 times, set up with whatever setup move that you have, and you win the rest of the fight. Because you outspeed everything, you OHKO everything. So that's what I'm saying, like, if you know... yeah, the Gen 7 title defense is definitely one of the easiest ones. I'd say Leon was actually pretty okay. Compared to the rest of the difficulty of Sword and Shield, I actually thought Leon was a breath of fresh air. Because the rest of Sword and Shield was actually fucking pitiful, right? The rest of Sword and Shield, there was no difficulty. And Leon was okay. Not hard by any means, but, you know, fine. Compared to the rest of the Pokemon game, he felt like the champion. If you compare it against the rest of Sword and Shield, which, you know, it's a low bar, but he did at least feel like a champion, right? Kinda sad Leon's Ace wasn't a Gen 8 Mon. I keep saying this to people. I think that Pokemon Black and White were some of the best Pokemon games of all time, purely because of the Pokedex. Pokemon Black and White, you cannot run into any Pokemon from Gens 1 through 4 until you see the credits roll. It has the most amount of new Pokemon ever in a Pokemon game, 156 to my knowledge. And in the original Black and White games, you will not run into any old Pokemon until after the credits. And honestly, that's how I think it should be. And then for the sequels, right, for the people that complained about that, the sequels then have a much larger Pokedex available to you in the base game, right? So then it's fine. You can still experience Unova with other Pokemon. But I think that the strength of a new generation should absolutely be its new Pokemon. Like, when I played Hard Gold and Soul Silver for the first time, I hadn't ever played Gold and Silver, but I did play Fire Red and Leaf Green. When I played Hard Gold and Soul Silver for the first time, my god, was I disappointed to find out that, like, basically the ace of every single Johto gym leader was a Kanto Pokemon. Like, almost every single ace. Some gym leaders use, like, 1 new Pokemon, and then that's it. Then again, Gen 2 only had 100 new Pokemon. Not the lowest, though. I think the lowest amount of Pokemon we've ever gotten in a new generation was Gen 6, because they did the Mega Evolutions, and those kind of compensated for having less new Pokemon. I think Gen 6 only had like 79 new Pokemon or something, which, by the way, is a pitiful number. I will always say this. I think Mega Evolutions were cool, right? Hello, Dihona, welcome in. Mega Evolutions were really, really cool. I think Mega Evolutions and Z moves together, but Mega Evolutions especially, is the worst gimmick they've ever added to a Pokemon game. And I know that's a very controversial take, because people love Mega Evolutions, right? And it's true, Mega Evolutions are really fucking cool. Especially, like, I remember some, like, Mega Evolutions being revealed for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And there were a couple Pokemon in there that I really, really loved even before Gen 3, or even before Gen 6 came out. and they were revealed to have Mega Evolutions, like, so fucking cool, right? I do get it. But gameplay-wise, I really didn't like Mega Evolutions, mainly because, A, you could use them in every fight. You could use a Mega Evolution in every single fight. And that is what I think, that's what I like that Scarlet and Violet did. You actually have to go to a Pokemon Center to recharge your Terra Orb. Which is fucking great, because it means that you can't just abuse Terra in every fight. Sure, you can have it for gym leaders, you can have it for the entire Elite Four. For the Elite Four, they do recharge it in between fights, which is nice. But basically, it means that if you're just running around, using your Terra has to be a conscious decision. Now, sadly, there aren't really any points in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and this is the issue. There aren't really any points in the game where you're stuck somewhere. And you can't just quickly fly to a Pokemon Center. Oops. Yeah, there's no points in Scarlet and Violet where you're, like, trapped in a cave somewhere, and it takes a long time for you to be able to get out. No, you can just fast travel from any point in that game, which kind of ruins the fact that you can't use your Terra constantly, because you can use your Terra constantly. You can just quickly fast travel to a Pokemon Center and fast travel back, right? So I feel like for that to be really effective, they would have to actually have points in the game where you are stuck for a moment. And there's probably like maybe there's like an evil team fight at the end, right? Or there's a rival fight at the very end. And the only way that you get to use your Terra is if you preserve it up until that fight. But yeah, Mega Evolutions, the reason why, in hindsight, I really don't like them is because, A, they kind of ruined team building for a while. Okay, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that roof, but it still says that I'm missing some parts. Right, fuck, I forgot, you can do this. Oh, you can flashbang the audience. I feel like Mega's kind of ruined team building for a little bit just because of, you know, a limited selection of Pokemon got Megas, and you almost always wanted to use the ones that did have Mega Evolutions. And it also made, there we go, it also made team building less interesting, because if a Pokemon had a Mega Evolution, you gave it a Mega Stone. You couldn't give it any other held item, like you were going to give it their Mega Stone. Which makes sense, right? Of course you'd do that. You can abuse Terra Orbs after getting Terrapagos. I haven't actually finished the DLC yet. 2/3 of my Pokemon Y team are capable of Mega Evolving, with Greninja and Yveltal being the exceptions. Yeah, like your starter isn't gonna be able to, but you still wanna use your starter. And then the box legendary. But like, those are literally the only two Pokemon that you would put on a team that can't Mega Evolve. It just made it so much more boring, I guess, to like build your teams or have interesting held items and stuff like that. Same for competitive Pokemon. Like, competitive Pokemon in Gen 6 and 7, I just don't think was that interesting. Because everyone was just using the best Mega Evolutions. Some of them were insanely busted. And the same goes for Z-moves. Like, if a Pokemon had a good Z-move, like, you were using that. Especially if it had like one of the signature Z-moves that only that like line of Pokemon had. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the moment that Pokemon Competitive got the restricted format, everyone used Primal Reversion, Kyogre, or Groudon. And to be fair, in every... Oh, no, it's okay. You haven't spoiled anything. I don't mind. I don't mind mechanic spoilers like that. I haven't actually finished the DLC because I just never got around to it. I'm probably just gonna finish it off stream, finish it on my own. I feel like that would be the most reasonable, because I started it before, you know, the channel rebrand, and I kind of want to leave all the old stuff behind. I don't want to like continue a game that I started back before my rebrand, because a lot of the people from the YouTube audience won't be able to go back to it because there's no archives of it. The starters couldn't Mega Evolve, not in Gen 6, no. The Oras starters got Mega Evolutions, but the X and Y starters couldn't Mega Evolve, which I always found really, really weird as well, come to think of that. I don't really understand why that is the case. But yeah, I don't know, it just made team building a lot more boring. And then Dynamax was definitely a step in the right direction. Because Dynamax, every Pokemon could use it, first of all. It was limited to only 3 turns in battle, and there was a lot of counterplay, right? Obviously, since it was only 3 turns, you could protect in front of a Dynamax Pokemon. It would still do 25% damage if they hit you, but like 25% damage of a max move wasn't a lot. And all the max moves had interesting effects, right? Like setting up terrain, setting up weather, lowering or increasing stats for like the entire field. Dynamax was absolutely a step in the right direction, but it's not my favorite gimmick, because they still had Gigantamax, they still had some Pokemon that couldn't Dynamax. To be fair, it's probably better that Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus couldn't Dynamax, but still, like, some of them couldn't. Which, in my opinion, does make it just that tiny bit worse. And then, yeah, the Gigantamax means that there were some Pokemon that had exclusive G-Max moves that no other Pokemon could use, which, stupid. Why? Oh, come on. Like, the moment that, unless it's like a single legendary, like Terrapagos having a special Terra mechanic, or Ogerpon having like the flame masks that like changes the Ivy Cudgel type or changes the ability, right? That's kind of different because that's a specific Pokemon having a very specific gimmick. When it comes to just like Megas and G-Max and Signature Z moves, that feels a little bit different because there's a lot more G-Max Pokemon and there's a lot more signature like Terra moves. Whereas if it's just for like the mythical or a legendary Pokemon for the region, I'd say it's fine. But Terra is definitely, in my opinion, the most interesting gimmick because it plays into what you already know, which is Stab. Allowing you to change type is probably one of the coolest things in Pokemon ever. You know, people used to run Hidden Power all the time on competitive teams just to have coverage, right? People ran Hidden Power for coverage. And it always sucked, especially when there was no open team sheet, when you didn't know the exact movesets that your opponent was using. Like, you knew, okay, they're probably using a Hidden Power, but you don't know what that Hidden Power type is. It could be anything. Which is why I do appreciate that with Terra in competitive Scarlet and Violet, they do play open team sheet. For the people that don't know what that means, it basically means that before the start of the battle, you get handed a sheet that shows all 6 Pokemon on the opposing team, what their moves are, what their abilities are, and what their type is, and what their Terra type is, and what their held item is. It shows that too. It doesn't show exact like EV and IV spread, so there is still some guessing at hand. Like, you don't know a Pokemon's exact speed stat. But it does mean that you do know what Terra type someone is going into it. And that was like competitive people's biggest concern going into Scarlet and Violet is, what if I don't know what Terra type somebody has? And yeah, that is a pretty big issue if you do not, but you do know what Terra type someone's using because it tells you. And same for when you're playing like on the ladder. I'm pretty sure it also tells you if you're playing online competitive. So it's not just for like tournaments and stuff. Which, yeah, that's how it should be. I think open team sheet should be exactly how Pokemon is played. Cause it just feels more fair. You know, both teams know exactly what the other team is using. You can plan around it a bit better. It allows for a lot more strategic play rather than just trying to outplay your opponent by guessing the right move, right? Competitive Pokemon's been really, really good in Scarlet and Violet, outside of, you know, some of the scandals that have happened with people at Worlds getting disqualified for Gen Pokemon, and, oh, I could talk about that for fucking ages. I disagree, basically. TLDR, I disagree. Especially with how Worlds was handled this year. I think absolutely people should not have been disqualified for the things that they were disqualified for. Basically, to give a TLDR, what happened was a couple days before the World Tournament, before the World Championships, Pokemon revealed that they had improved their hack checks for the year. Because they do always have hack checks, right? And those hack checks are mostly to assure that the Pokemon that you're using doesn't have any illegal moves, doesn't have any illegal stats. Like, let's say you can only put in, I think it's a total of like 520 EVs into a Pokemon. The hack checks basically ensure that you haven't put in like 600 instead. That was what the hack checks used to be for. Last year, yeah, in 2023. And they said that they had improved their hack checks. Which, okay, sure. I mean, that sounds fine. And then people started getting disqualified for Pokemon that had fully legal movesets and legal stats. There was nothing about those Pokemon that would have resulted in an unfair advantage, right? There was zero unfair advantage to those Pokemon. But those Pokemon were generated or modified using tools like PK Hex, so that the person in question didn't have to grind up that Pokemon to, you know, higher level EV train it, spend bottle caps on hyper training, spend a lot of time in raids to get Terra Shards to change the Terra type, buy TMs to give the Pokemon the exact moves, maybe even breed Pokemon so that you get the right egg moves. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into building a Pokemon team, and players were essentially circumventing that. And this has been happening for years. People have been doing this for years. But suddenly people started getting disqualified for it. And I saw a lot of discourse on Twitter appear about it, especially from non-Pokemon players of like, oh, yeah, they generated their Pokemon, that's cheating. Like, they should grind them up like everyone else. Which, you know, I can agree with to some extent. But the biggest issue with Worlds last year was that the way that competitive Pokemon is handled these days is by using regulations. A regulation is a format. Every couple of months, a new regulation drops which changes the Pokemon that you're allowed to bring to tournaments and to competitive events, right? When Scarlet and Violet started, we started with Regulation A, which was just the national dex of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and you were not allowed to use Paradox Pokemon, you weren't allowed to use the Treasures of Ruin, and you weren't allowed to use Miraidon and Koraidon. So it was all non-legendaries, and all non-Paradox Pokemon. Then a couple months later, we got Regulation B, which added the Paradox Pokemon. So suddenly Paradox Pokemon were on the table, so Fluttermane started seeing a lot more use. Paradox Pokemon have higher base stat totals than most regular Pokemon, so they are better. They were introduced in Regulation B. Then came Regulation C, which was when the Pokemon Home update dropped, and people could import a bunch of Pokemon from past generations. That was Regulation C, and that was also played for a couple of months. But the issue, Regulation C was the same as Regulation B, but it added the Treasures of Ruin Pokemon. Just those four, nothing else. And that was played for a couple of months. And those three regulations were played throughout the entire year of Scarlet and Violet tournaments. But then, a couple of weeks before Worlds, they announced Regulation D. And when a new regulation happens, it replaces the rule set in all competitive events. So the moment that Regulation C is retired and Regulation D starts, even if only a day later there's a regional tournament, that regional tournament will play in the new regulation. So suddenly, Worlds was announced to be played in Regulation D instead of Regulation C. And the funny thing is, there was no official tournament, no regional, no national, before Worlds that played with that regulation. Worlds would be the first official tournament to play with that regulation. Meaning that there was no other place that people could, like, look at to see what people were using, and that the meta could, like, develop over the first couple of weeks. So a lot of people resorted to building an insane amount of teams and bringing them onto Pokemon Showdown, bringing them onto the competitive ladder, and just testing out like dozens and dozens of different teams, which takes ages to build. And the meta that people were using on Showdown was changing like every 12 hours leading up to Worlds. So a lot of people even changed their teams like the evening before the tournament. That's how tight it got, right? Because the meta didn't have a chance to settle. So a lot of people who were short on time and preferred to spend their time practicing matchups, which is what basically everybody was doing, resorted to genning their Pokemon. And I can completely understand that. Worlds was kind of fucked last year. Because the Regulation D, this was the most important thing. Regulation D wasn't just like the same as Regulation C, but now you could also use Co-Rhydon and Miraidon. No, it was the most significant regulation change yet. Because the Pokemon Home update for the game released, meaning that you could port Pokemon from past games over to the new game. And it added a whole bunch of Pokemon to the list. Pokemon like Rillaboom, Landorus Therian, Incineroar, Cresselia, and just a lot of Pokemon that were really, really good back in the day. Suddenly we're allowed to use again. Urshifu, another big one. And you can sense the biggest problem here wasn't necessarily that this put a whole bunch of like really broken Pokemon into the game, because that's fine, like people have played around that before. The biggest issue was, for all of these Pokemon, you needed to own multiple other games. If you wanted to use Landorus Therian, you needed to own Legends Arceus, or you needed to have a Landorus Therian from back in the DS and 3DS era and transfer it over from Pokemon Bank, right? If you wanted to use Urshifu, you needed to have Sword and Shield with the Sword and Shield DLC. If you wanted to use Rillaboom, you needed to have Sword and Shield. Incineroar, you needed to have Sun and Moon. And you needed to have transferred over an Incineroar. Was Incineroar capturable in any of the Switch Pokemon games? I don't think so. Not up until the DLC dropped for Pokemon, like the second DLC for Scarlet and Violet, because there you can now catch it. But yeah, up until that point, you needed to own so many other Pokemon games, and a lot of people may own the Pokemon games but don't have them finished all the way through, or maybe they reset them, or maybe they're just new to competitive Pokemon. Like, there were a couple of players at Worlds last year where it was their first season, Indigo Disc, that one, where it was their first season playing tournaments, and they managed to make it to Worlds. But since it was their first season, like, they maybe didn't own all those Pokemon games, and they're all like $60 for the Sword and Shield. That's $25 or $30 DLC. And then you need to finish those games all the way through, and then you need to farm for the Pokemon that you want. Send it into Pokemon Home, put it into Scarlet and Violet, then do more training on it because you need to change the movesets around to whatever the new movesets are. You need to change its Terra typing. Like, there's so much, the amount of work that people have had to put in to build their competitive Pokemon teams has exponentially increased over the years. Now, there have always been some features that they've added that, like, improve this, right? They added hyper training in, I believe it was Sun and Moon that added hyper training. It was either Sun and Moon or X and Y, which allowed your Pokemon to have their IVs raised to 31. You could get max IVs on your Pokemon without having to farm for that, right? You didn't have to keep soft resetting on a legendary until you got a max IV Pokemon, but you could only set your IVs to 31. There was no item to set your IVs to 0, and you'd be like, well, why would you want to set your IVs to 0? Two main reasons. Number one, some Pokemon want to be slow. If you are running a Trick Room team, you want your Pokemon to have 0 speed IVs. Because when Trick Room is up, the turn order is reversed. So the slowest Pokemon go first, and the fastest Pokemon go last. And if you have 1 speed IV, and your opponent who's running the same Pokemon on their team has 0 speed IV, their Pokemon will go first. So you want to have 0 speed IVs on slow Pokemon that either use Trick Room teams or use moves that deal more damage if you've been hit, or deal more damage if you go last, right? Something like that. And then there's special attackers. Basically, every single special attacker in the game wants to have 0 wants to have 0 attack IVs. Because if your opponent is using a Dark-type Pokemon with Foul Play, instead of using your own attack stat to calculate damage, uses your opponent's attack stat to calculate the damage. Meaning that if you have a special attacker, you don't need a high attack stat because you don't use physical moves, right? But if your opponent then has Foul Play, then their Foul Play will deal more damage purely because of the fact that you had a higher than zero attack IV, right? Confusion as well, yeah, if you're confused, exactly. That's another one. It's another one that I completely forgot about. Confusion deals damage to yourself based on your attack stat. And, you know, that's important. People will farm for that, and there's no item that can reduce your Pokemon's IVs to 0 or reset them. EVs you can get down to 0. Like, those are fine. And at least EV training is a lot nicer now in the later Pokemon games. I think this change was actually only made in Scarlet and Violet. I don't think this change was here beforehand. In Scarlet and Violet, EV boosting items like protein, calcium, zinc, etc., iron, carbos, they boost an EV of a stat by 10. And previously, you could use those items only up to 100. Up until that stat had 100 IVs, and then they wouldn't have any more effect. In Scarlet and Violet now, that has at least changed, and you can just straight up use them all the way up until 252, which is very nice. But those items are expensive. So you need to grind, instead of grinding for EVs now on individual Pokemon, you are grinding Terra raids to get items that you can sell to get money. So you're essentially still doing the same thing, just now it's a bit more streamlined. So it has improved on a technicality, but like, has it really? Because you're still spending so much time grinding. Got a real doozy for you, and you can spare a minute at the recreational grounds. Not at the moment, I'm cleaning a house, man. How far are we, actually? Is there like a percentage? Oh, 60%, right. Okay, we're an hour and a half into the stream. We might be able to finish it? I don't know, it depends. I kind of don't want to leave this hanging, you know? I kind of do want to finish it. But yeah, that's like the one complaint that I've seen with competitive Pokemon over the Scarlet and Violet season. This year seems to be going a bit better so far. Now that, you know, there aren't really any meaningful regulation updates to be happening anymore outside. Like, there's only really one more format that can happen, and that's a restricted format. And restricted formats are, they're exactly what you think they are. They allow the use of normally restricted Pokemon. Restricted Pokemon are usually legendaries or box legendaries and mythicals. So Pokemon like Kyogre, Groudon, Celebi, I think, was one of them. And restricted formats usually, or at least in the Sword and Shield era, they allow you to use 2 restricted Pokemon on your team. Which Pokemon those are is up to you, but you can only use 2. And in Sword and Shield, like, Zacian was super meta because of its ability, and insanely high base attack stat. Kyogre and Groudon always do well in restricted formats because of their absurdly good stats and move pools, and B, because of their abilities, like setting up Sun or Rain to immediately boost the power of all of their moves is insanely good. It was especially prevalent in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire when Primal Reversion existed. Was especially prevalent back then. There we go, that's good enough. But at least, like, those formats are still pretty balanced, for the most part, and that's basically the next step for Scarlet and Violet now. I don't think that a restricted format will happen this year, or this season, rather, which the season will end somewhere around the end of the summer. I really hope for competitive players that a restricted format doesn't happen this season. Because typically, how it's worked is when a new generation comes out, the first season is just National Dex. You are only allowed to use National Dex Pokemon, restricted legendaries are banned, basically Regulation C. Regulation C for Scarlet and Violet, which was all of the Scarlet and Violet National Dex, excluding Miraidon and Koraidon. All other Pokemon were on the table. You could use the Treasures of Ruin, you could use Paradox Pokemon, all of that was fine. That was the format that people expected to be the World's format, and then suddenly it wasn't. Which I still think is a dick move on Pokemon Company's part, but we've talked enough about that. That's usually the first year's format. And then the second year's format is National Dex. You have Regional Dex, and then you go to National Dex. So you add in all the Pokemon from Pokemon Home, right? Still not restricted legendaries, just Pokemon Home. And then the third year of a generation is restricted formats, which those add the restricted legendaries as well. And then that's it. Like, that is... Can I get on here? Yes, I can. And that's the last evolution of the format, basically. Can I move this ball around, by the way? Yo! Sorry, got distracted. So then, I really hope for people that this Worlds is... either they start doing a restricted format very, very soon. Like, either they announce a restricted format to start happening in, like, March, or they leave it as is. And these are just the Pokemon that people can use for the time being, right? And I think they should leave it as is. I think that now that the Indigo Disc regulation is out, this is the regulation that should be used at Worlds. Maybe some minor tweaks can happen, like maybe some Pokemon can be banned or reintroduced, but mainly because competitive players haven't really had a chance to have a proper tournament for Scarlet, or a proper Worlds for Scarlet and Violet with enough knowledge going into it, right? Because they didn't have that chance with the last Worlds, because suddenly the format was changed, like, a few weeks beforehand. There was no tournament with the new regulation. And then that was it, right? That was all the chance that people had. People didn't really get a chance to properly prepare for it. Which is why I hope that they don't drastically change the format before Worlds this year, so that people actually have time to prepare. I think that's reasonable, right? And I will say, I'm not a competitive Pokemon player myself, really, but I am really invested in watching it. It's like people who enjoy watching League of Legends esports, but don't really play League that competitively themselves, just because they enjoy seeing one of their favorite games be played at a professional level, right? I love watching Pokemon competitive. I'm not an active participant of Pokemon competitive. So I will say that. Obviously, a competitive player will be able to give you a much better rundown of why things need to be a certain way. Highly recommend watching Wolfie's stuff. Wolfie VGC is by far the best content creator when it comes to competitive Pokemon, in my opinion. Really good video essays on, like, what's good at the moment. Really good coverage of his own tournaments. Like, whenever he does well at a tournament, or even whenever he doesn't do well at a tournament, he often makes a video about it. About what went well, what didn't go well, analysis of his matches. It's really, really interesting to watch. Even if you're like a casual Pokemon player, highly recommend watching some Wolfie VGC stuff. His video on Worlds from last year is specifically very good. Talking about the Pokemon Sword and Shield Worlds. I think the video for Scarlet and Violet Worlds should also be out, right? I think that came out a couple weeks ago. Hold up. Yeah. It did release. Okay. So those two videos are both great because they don't just go over his World Championships, they go over his entire season. So all of the tournaments that he went to, leading up to it, all the practice that he did, how he came to his team that he ended up bringing to Worlds. It's genuinely a fascinating video, even if you don't know much about competitive Pokemon. Highly recommend watching it. It's like, what, how long is it? Like 2 hours? I fucking forgot how long it was. I think it is legitimately like 2-3 hours for the full video, or like at least an hour and a half. But very good watch, even if it's just on the side as background noise. By the way, if you are currently listening to me as background noise, I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope that whatever you are currently up to is fun, and that you're having a good time. I'm gonna be here for another hour or so, please continue to kick back and relax. Alright. Still a lot to do on the porch. I'm assuming... Is the porch ceiling also part of porch? Yeah, it is. Okay, let's do that one then. God, this Mount Moon lo-fi still is fucking haunting. It's like the one piece of music in this playlist that I'm like, why is this in here? Hold up, I should quickly do this side. Just adding some more details to a character? Hell yeah, I've seen your work in progress. It's looking really good. I'm lurking, relaxing after a tiring day of work, and this is really chill. Hell yeah, I appreciate that. Oh, oops. Yeah, this lo-fi's much better. There we go. I mean, I've also had I've not had a super tiring day today. I had a super tiring day yesterday. Yesterday I spent the entire day working. I kid you not. What? I had like half the roof left to go. What do you mean? Okay, whatever. Yesterday I started work at around, I think it was like around 10 p.m. And I did a whole bunch of music work first. Then I did a whole bunch of Honkai Star Rail research and reading up because I was doing a Honkai Star Rail stream in the evening. And I was reviewing other people's accounts. I didn't want to spout bullshit. So I did a whole bunch of reading and a whole bunch of research before that stream. And then that stream itself happened. That stream was about 4 hours long. And then after that stream, I did more music work. And then I went to bed around 1 p.m., I think. So yeah, I was working yesterday from 10 till 1, which is, what, 13 hours? Give or take out an hour and a half for me grabbing food, and I did groceries yesterday as well. I wouldn't count that as work, but that is doing something, that is being active. So probably around 12, 13 hours is what I would put it at. So yeah, I had a really tiring day yesterday. So it's why I planned this Power Wash stream in for today. It's also just because I thought the concept of it was funny, like, haha, Valentine's Day. I normally play Power Washing with Atlas, or I've played it with Atlas a few times. And now Atlas isn't here, so I guess I'm taking chat on a date instead. I just thought that stream title was funny. That's basically the only reason. But I knew I'd be pretty tired today, so that's why I scheduled in this stream instead. And then tomorrow we have the Nuzlocke, which is gonna be a different beast. I think that's this part of the roof done. We just have this up here left. And down here. Oh, we have this porch as well. Okay, let's finish this porch up then. Where's my ladder? There you are. I think I can finish this. Maybe not in an hour, but we're 72% of the way there. In about an hour, 40 minutes time. So, like, theoretically, I should be able to finish this in an hour, right? Because I really should get really should be doing some other stuff around 10 p.m., which is in an hour from now. I'm super excited. There's something that I've worked on for the better part of this week that I'm really, really excited about. It's my first project of that kind, really, which is kind of funny because I didn't treat it like it was, but it is my first project of a kind like that, and I'm really excited about it. Hopefully you all will be able to see it on Sunday or Monday. Late Sunday, early Monday, probably. Wish I could do that with my partner, but she has to go to work today and I'll be asleep when she's done. Living on the opposite side of the world if your partner isn't the best. Yeah, tell me about it. I'm lucky that my current partner is only an hour away time zone wise. But then again, they do work evenings. They're typically awake very late in the day, and then by the time that they're awake, like, I'm prepping for a stream, right? So we haven't had a lot of time to hang out lately. Because our schedules just don't really line up. But, you know, for streaming, it is in my best interest to stream at the hours that I do, because it is by far the hours that most of my viewers are active on YouTube. So, like, this is the best time for me to work, and then for Atlas, they just function much better working evenings. So we haven't had as much time to hang out together recently. But yeah, no, as someone who has dated someone living on the other side of the world, like, you know, 12 hours apart, yeah, it can be a little rough to deal with. And the thing that you want to do, right, is compromise your sleep schedule to try and be awake at the times where they are. But like if you have school or if you have work, that can be very, very hard to do because, like, yeah, good luck fucking ruining your sleep schedule so that you can hang out with your partner, and then you have to do your school or your work on like 3 hours of sleep. Like, that's not gonna happen, right? You can only hold that out for so long. And trust me, I tried. Like, hell, I kind of did that with myself for a while, even with Atlas, right? Because Atlas works evenings. Because of that, they don't immediately want to go to bed after work, which makes sense. They finish work at 11, which is 12 p.m. for me. Finishes at midnight for me. And they don't immediately want to go to bed after work. I get it. I wouldn't want to either. Whenever I finish a stream at like 11 p.m., I don't immediately go to bed after that. I have to wind down, you know? So typically, Atlas is awake late in the day and then stays up until like 2, 3 a.m., and then wakes up the next morning late in the day again, right? But, you know, the only times that I really get to hang out with Atlas then are after they are done with work. So there was a time where I, like, stayed up until, you know, 3, 4 in the morning so I could hang out with Atlas. Because there really wasn't that much of another time. I'm not doing that anymore. I've been a lot better with my sleep schedule lately. I'm always out of bed by midday, and I know there's some people in chat probably, or some people lurking who work full-time jobs or go to school, and they have to wake up at like 7 in the morning. I get it. That obviously, sure, but you know, I don't work a 9 to 5, and I don't go to school for a 9 to 5, right? My work is mostly in the evening. Instead of working 9 to 5, like, I work 12 till 11. So, like, there was a time where I really struggled to, like, get out of bed before, like, 2 p.m. because of how much, or how late I was staying up, right? And I've been a lot better about that. I think that my sleep schedule right now is, I wouldn't say the healthiest it's ever been, but it's definitely good. You wake up at 6:35, yeah, that's rough. I personally function much better in the later hours of the day. So, like, the sleep schedule that I have now is I'm always out of bed by, like, midday, but usually I'm out of bed by, like, 10 or 11. So, I do that, and then I start work at around midday. I spend 5-ish hours working on content preparation. So stuff like making music for a video or editing a video, or making thumbnails and the schedule for the upcoming week of streams. Basically doing anything that isn't streaming. And then, after that, I have a couple hours that I typically stream, right? And on a day that I don't stream, I spend the entire day working on music, typically. On the days that I don't stream, I spend early hours of the day working on music. Then afterwards, I take a short break to instead work on other channel stuff like thumbnails, videos, stuff like that. And then later in the evening, I come back to music. Because one of my biggest strategies when it comes to music is to sleep on it. And sometimes I don't really have time to sleep on it. What I do is I finish something, and I get it to a state where I'm pretty happy with it, and then I put it away. And I go to bed, and the next morning I wake up, and I have it be one of the first things in the morning that I listen to, right? Literally, I get out of bed, I turn on my PC, I open the project, and I listen to it. Because then early in the morning, my ears haven't heard anything else, and they are much more likely to pick out the like finer details that I may have missed the night before. And on top of that, it doesn't just do that, but also sometimes when you've been listening to the same piece of music that you've been working on for like, you know, the last 6 hours, you kind of stop noticing some of the finer details, and then suddenly in the morning when you wake up, you notice that, oh shit, this is awful. Like, this is not good. I could have done that so much better. Well, okay, I never think this is awful, but I think, I definitely should spend some more time on that, right? And that kind of only ever happens if I sleep on it for a day. Obviously, there are sometimes projects where that is not possible, right? Where, you know, there's a deadline. My deadline for videos is Sunday every other week. And that's when I want to have my videos finished, right? Sunday every other week, I want to have a new video uploaded. So if the thing is, I want to have a Spotify upload basically go day and date with the video upload. And in order to get a piece of music on Spotify, you need to submit it a couple days prior because it needs to be reviewed by both your distributor and it needs to be reviewed by the Spotify team. And that typically takes about 5 days, meaning that the piece of music actually the piece of music that I'm uploading next week needs to be finished by like Sunday evening, because it's 5 working days. So my deadline for music is actually a week before the video comes out. And sometimes, like, if I'm working on Sunday still on that piece of music, I don't really have a chance to sleep on it because I have to upload it on Monday morning, right? So then I have like one final chance to maybe listen to it on Monday, but I don't have a lot of chance to make any final changes to it. But other than that, if that isn't the case, yeah, like I always sleep on it. And sometimes when I don't have the time to sleep on it, what I do is I instead eat on it. I put it away for a couple hours, I go eat some food, maybe go outside, take a short walk, or work on other things that aren't music related. Don't put any music on during that time. I basically... it's kind of interesting. You think, like, you're a musician, you must listen to music a lot, and that's actually not true. I don't listen to music a whole lot, because I'm not the kind of person who puts music on in the background when I'm doing something. Because when I listen to music, I want to, like, listen to it, you know? I want to take all of it in. I want to, have my full attention, essentially. Full attention directed on the music. And I can't do that if I have music on in the background. If I have music on in the background, I cannot pay full attention to it. So when I'm working, I typically don't have music on in the background. When I'm streaming, I do, because, you know, background music is kind of necessary. It fills silence. It's statistically shown to improve viewer retention. So obviously on streams I have background music on, naturally. And I don't mind having background music on stream, but like, I'm not paying attention to the music really at the moment. When I'm listening to music, I am really listening to it. Like I put on an album and I listen to that entire album start to finish. I listen to music most when I'm traveling, because then that's why I see a lot of streamers use background music. Yeah, it fills silence. And silence is one of the easiest ways to get someone distracted and click off your stream. And it's the same for videos too. It's not just streams, right? Try and find a single video essay that doesn't have background music playing 99% of the time. I guarantee you almost every single video essay, or every single well-performing video essay, will have background music 95% of the time. Because it's statistically shown that it keeps people around, right? Because it grabs attention. I should switch to this one so I can get them off more easily. There we go. But yeah, so I don't really listen to music in my own time, and especially, what I have found is that if I am listening to a lot of background music and I start working on music immediately after that, that music is still like spooking through my head a little bit, and I don't want to phrase it like this because this sounds stupid, but that it's wasted my ears for the day, if that makes sense. It's really, really weird. I can't really explain it. But like my ears have paid attention to, or my ears have constantly been subjected to noise. And because of that, I can't listen as critically as I normally would. Back in the day, I used to always have music on. Like, no matter what I was doing, I was listening to some form of music. But I found that actually made me less critical of what I was working on. How the fuck do they want me to clean that? I guess this, huh? Just long range, because... yeah, this doesn't reach as high. Is there no, like... oh, I guess this is a little bit closer. Hold up. There we go. All right, awesome. I think it's just the roof left now. Come on, get off. Come on the ladder. Come on, get on. Please. There we go. Finally. I think it is literally just this roof left. What do we have? Chimney top, driveway edges, apparently. Okay. House roof, gutters, I need 2 more. Walls, window frames, windows, and wooden trims. Okay, so it's the roof and then a couple of small other parts. Cool. We can definitely finish this on time. But yeah, basically I noticed that when I stopped listening to music the entire day, I actually became a lot more critical of my own stuff. And you know, this is different for everybody, right? Some people can listen to music just fine, but when I'm listening to music, it is for critical listening. If I like really want to experience an album, because then I can get like inspiration out of it, right? That's different. Then I can draw inspiration from that music, and use it in my own, right? But just regularly, no, I don't do it a lot. Especially recently with some of the things that I've been working on, like, the only thing that I listen to is, like, the original piece of music that I'm trying to cover, or that I'm trying to mix or do something with, right? That's the only thing that I listen to. And my own stuff. And then whenever I stop working, or whenever I take a break, I take my headphones off, and I either don't listen to anything, or I just watch a YouTube video. I found that YouTube videos don't really cloud my hearing at all. Just watching random, like, video essays and stuff like that, or just my usual, like, favorite creators, they don't really cloud my hearing at all. Which is nice. I'm glad that they do not, because, oh boy, I would suffer if they did. I hope that I am, like, making the tiniest amount of sense, because me saying that I don't listen to music because I don't want to waste my ears is fucking weird, man. I do realize how, like, weird it sounds. God, I'm running out of things to talk about. Fuck. Chat, quick, anyone have a topic for me to talk about? I need to fill, like, another, like, 30 minutes, maybe. Running out of shit to ramble about. See, and that's what I mean by, gonna BRB, give your cat some food? Hell yeah, give your cats food. They deserve food. That's what I mean, right, by saying that I don't want to do regular Zatsu streams, because I'm afraid that I'll run out of things to talk about and that I won't be interesting anymore. At least now, even if I fall quiet for a little bit, you still have power washing to watch, right? There is still something happening on your screen that will keep you around. There's still a silly little VTuber that is just moving, you know, left and right, vibing. So there's still something happening, so even if I run out of stuff to talk about, I don't have to worry that much about... Fuck. I don't have to worry that much about not being entertaining. Because, you know, if people are here for me, or if people are, you know, if people want to continue to support, they're less likely to click off, because they still have some stuff to watch in the background. Not leaving because you're not interesting, it goes on as... Yeah, no, fuck, yeah. Chelsea, I get that. You feed your cats at a specific time. You don't have to apologize for that. I understand that. I've never had a cat, but I know they get pretty fucking feisty when they don't get their food on time. Or at least some cats do. Some cats don't give a shit. God. One of my funniest memories around cats, and this is gonna sound really morbid, one of my funniest memories around cats is when it hospitalized my partner. Hear me out, okay? Hear me out. It was pretty awful at the time. I do admit it was not fun at the time of it happening. But what happened was Atlas and I were visiting one of my best friends, Zoe. Really good friend of mine, fantastic human being, and she lived a decent distance away from Atlas, like 2-3 hours by train, right? Because of that, we really wanted to go over and spend some time with Zoe. But Atlas also still had work, which started at 5, and we didn't really have many, like, days off for Atlas left that we could go and see Zoe. You know, Atlas was like, I can bring my laptop and then work at yours, but my work lasts until 11 p.m. I can't just, you know, leave midway through and then continue working on the train, because coverage in the UK is not good enough to be working in the train. Like, your internet will dip out every 2 fucking minutes. If you were in the Netherlands, you'd probably be fine. Like, coverage here when you're in the train, my internet almost never dips out. It's almost always, like, good enough. But they work a job where they're absolutely not allowed to work on public Wi-Fi. So it's not like you could use, like, train Wi-Fi for it. No, definitely not. So our only solution really was, well, if we want to, you know, spend a decent amount of time with Zoe and not have to take a train back at, like, 3 p.m., we can stay the night. And, you know, there was a bedroom available. We could stay the night at Zoe. That was no big deal. And then the next day, we would take a train back around, you know, midday, and then Atlas could be back home. We'd be back home before 5 p.m. so Atlas could go back to work, right? So that was the plan. One small problem, Zoe has a cat. And this wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that Atlas is allergic. But the thing is, Atlas is allergic in a way that, you know, they get a little bit sniffly, and it maybe, you know, it hangs around for a day or two. But other than that, outside of getting a little bit sniffly and snotty, take some antihistamines, and they're mostly fine, right? That's how it used to be. Or that's how it typically is. And, you know, Zoe took precautions. The bedroom that we'd be staying in was cleaned entirely. Atlas never touched the cat, got nowhere near it. The cat barely even said hi to us. It was a very antisocial day for her. So, you know, Atlas barely interacted with the cat. The house was cleaned. Our bedroom was cleaned. The room that we were staying in for the majority of the day didn't have a lot of cat remnants, so to speak. But for some reason, that day just wasn't going well. And at around midnight, after they had finished work, they had constantly been taking their inhaler, because they're also asthmatic, right? They've been constantly taking their inhaler, and they'd been taking it a bit too much. The inhaler had run out at this point. And it still wasn't getting much better. They were still feeling very short of breath. So at around midnight, 12:30, Atlas went up to me and was like, hey, I'm really struggling to breathe. We may need to call 111, which, there's two phone numbers that you can call in the UK. You have 111, which is just for, it's not necessarily for emergencies, it's more just if there is something going on health-wise and you don't quite know what to do. You can call 111 and they will try to assist you. And then there's 999, which is the emergency phone number, right? But 111 also has a website that has a lot of, like, specific, like, you can answer a whole bunch of questions and it will essentially tell you what your next best course of action is. So we went to the website of 111 and Atlas filled in that questionnaire, and it essentially said in bright red text, please, for the love of all that is fuck, call 999 right now or go to the hospital, right? Because Atlas was feeling very short of breath, it wasn't getting much better, they needed emergency help. But Atlas really didn't want to deal with an ambulance, so instead, Zoe offered to drive us to the local hospital. Which, by the way, Zoe, love you, extremely nice. Thank you so much. You fucking saved us that day. Is this gutter done? No, it isn't. There's still more. So Zoe drove us to the hospital. And, the reason why I look back on this so fondly now is because, the ride to the hospital, Zoe and I were basically singing Hamilton karaoke the entire fucking time. And it was really fucking funny. We were so absorbed in singing Hamilton. Atlas was fine with it, by the way. Atlas was laughing along. They were just struggling to breathe. But because by the time that we had gotten out of the house, Atlas has already gotten a lot better. Wooden trims. I've missed a lot of these. Where are the wooden trims that I've missed? Wait a minute. It says 14 out of 21. Hold up. There's one place up there that I've missed. No, let me uncrouch. Get me. Oh my god. Get me up there. There we go. Okay, that's a wall. I'm so confused. What is the wooden trim? It says I'm 13 of 25. Oh, hold up. Something showed up just now. Oh, it's these white lines around the house. Yeah, okay. That's it. Oh, probably the underside of them. Yeah, alright. So, at the moment that we'd gotten out of the house, Atlas was already doing a whole lot better, but Zoe and I essentially spent the entire trip singing Hamilton karaoke, and we got so absorbed into it that Zoe missed her exit. So, that delayed our journey by like 10 minutes. Oops. And then once we got to the hospital, like, that's where the fun kind of died down very, very quickly, because, it was a Friday evening, and what am I missing? Is it still more wooden trims? I'm missing one wooden trim somewhere. Where? Where? I beg, please tell me. Oh, hold up. Oh shit, I'm missing an entire fucking wall here. I'm fucking stupid. Give me a second. But yeah, it was a Friday evening. It was very late. There wasn't a lot of staff available, obviously. Where the fuck is my ladder? Oh my god, I left my ladder up there. Wait, fuck, shit. Please tell me I can, like, grab it from here. Uh-oh. Let me jump. No, fuck. Is there a way to, like, grab your ladder back? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm up. So yeah, we basically spent the next 6 hours in the hospital. We weren't out until, it took us until like 7 in the morning before we ended up, being able to leave. Which, I'll be honest, sucked. That was quite awful. So yeah, it's this wall, right? No, it's not this wall. Is it this wall that I hadn't finished? Yeah, it is this wall. Okay. The rest of it sucked, but Zoe, fucking lovely that she is, stayed in the hospital the entire time. She could have left. She could have driven home, gotten some sleep. She was very busy with work at the time as well, but she stayed the entire time. And then we were all fucked up in the morning. So the next time I went to visit Zoe on my own, Atlas didn't come with me. Basically, from now on, we have said, if Zoe and Atlas want to see each other, Zoe will come and visit us. And, if I, like, just want to go out to see Zoe for a day, I can go visit Zoe. But I have to take a fresh pair of clothes, that will immediately go into the wash whenever I come home. Like, I'm not allowed to do anything with those, right? It's, you take off those clothes the second you get back into the house, and you shower, all of that, right? Because we are not taking that fucking risk again. Alright, walls, 2 window frames, and a wooden trim. I don't know where the fucking wooden trim is. Okay, there's 2 window frames that we haven't done yet. That one we have done. Okay. There's a window frame up there. All right. Do 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 do. This window frame. There we go. All right, one more window frame somewhere. Is it this one? No. Down here. Come on, I'm almost there. Nope. Let's take the ladder just in case. I don't know if there's any more windows further up top somewhere. It's a window here. This window frame's done. It has to be one of those 2, right? Window frame. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. Okay, there's one wooden trim somewhere, and I need to find it, and I do not know where it is. Is there any way that I can, like, check where it is? Yeah, so these are all the wooden trims. You're done. You're done. Oh shit, the walls are also considered wooden trims. Okay, I haven't checked all of those. This wooden trim is done. That one's done. This considered a wooden trim? Yes, that one's done. This one's done. This one's done. Wait, fuck. Okay, maybe on the ceiling? That one's done. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. I am losing my mind. Where is it? There's one that I'm missing. Please. Hold up. How can I, like, highlight? Can I highlight it in any way that it tells me where it is? I'm like pressing tab constantly to try and see if like any filth pops up, but like the wooden trims are so hard to spot. Oh, hold up. Oh no, that was just, oh yeah, no, it's this one. It's the wooden trim of the garage. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, I need my ladder. I'm so glad I found that. I was actually going insane. There we go. Woo! And just like that. Oh, look at that. Just about 2 hours. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Anyway, I think that that's enough for me for today. I gotta get back to working on music stuff. And then tomorrow, we're doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke. That'll be a lot more energetic than today's stream, I promise. I know today's stream was like very relaxed and very calm and cozy. But I hope you folks do like it, because I do want to do more of those calm and cozy streams, because they are very easy for me to do on days where I feel a bit more tired, which means that I'll be able to put on some stream for the day, have something up without it being too exhausting. I am going to send all of you to the waiting room for tomorrow's stream. If you do want to see the next part of that Nuzlocke, we're doing Too Many Types, which is a ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald. If you do want to see that, make sure that whenever you get sent to the waiting room, turn on notifications, right? So that you don't miss it, all right? Join the Discord, all that, yada, yada, yada. Discord link in replies, Discord link in description, all that good stuff. And then I will see you all tomorrow for Pokemon, all right? Bye-bye.